Today, we will be discussing the principles of language learning and teaching. Language learning is a process that takes time, under the best of circumstances, when the learner is motivated, and has everything available to help him to reach his goals. Language learning is an active process, that begins at birth and continues throughout life. Students learn language, as they use it to communicate their thoughts, feelings, and experiences, establish relationships, with family members and friends, and strive to make sense and order of their world. Students may come to school, speaking more than one language, or learn another language in school. It is important to respect, and build upon each student's first language. Experience in one language will benefit the learning of other languages. Language learning occurs in specific contexts for specific purposes, such as learning about a particular topic, participating in the community, and pursuing work and leisure activities. Douglas Brown classifies language learning principles into three subgroupings: cognitive principles, affective principles, and linguistic principles. Cognitive principles relate mainly to mental and intellectual functions. It may focus on the learner's mental activity as well as the stimulation of their intellectual activities. And cognitive principles consist of 5 specific principles, that is, automaticity, meaningful learning, anticipation of reward, the intrinsic motivation principle, and strategic investment. Each principle has some guidance towards real classroom teaching. In cognitive, the first principle is automaticity. The principle of automaticity may be stated as follows: efficient second language learning involves a timely movement of the control of a few language forms into the automatic, fluent processing of a relatively unlimited number of language forms. Overanalyzing language, thinking too much about its forms, and consciously lingering on rules of language all tend to impede this graduation to automaticity. Many components of language must be learned to the point of automaticity. When we use a language, we cannot consciously think about all the words and grammar that we are using. Some parts of language must be readily available in our subconscious, to be used automatically. Automaticity is the ability to do things without occupying the mind with the low-level details that are required. This is usually the result of learning, repetition, and practice. For language learning, characterized automaticity as a more efficient, more accurate, and more stable performance. As such, automaticity is often linked with fluency in language learning. Automaticity applies to both teaching and learning a language. In both cases, the more often an activity is done, the more automatic it becomes. The theory of automaticity relates to theories of cognitive capacity and cognitive load, which suggests that at any given time we have a finite amount of attention to give to an activity or process. When a process becomes more automatic, less attention is needed and attention can therefore be given to other processes or tasks. In teaching, automaticity can greatly help by allowing teachers to concentrate more on their students and the learning that is taking place. Over time and with experience, teachers can make certain processes automatic, such as planning, instruction, and classroom management, which in turn frees up more attention for other processes. Similar to teaching, promoting automaticity in learning will allow students to process information quickly and accurately, which will in turn help with fluency. The best way to promote automaticity is to get students to practice using their language through activities. Teachers need to understand that it takes time to learn and that automaticity will not develop overnight or even after several lessons. Meaningful learning includes new information, into existing structures and memory systems, and the resulting associative links create stronger retention. The principle of meaningful learning is stated. Meaningful learning will lead toward better long-term retention than rote learning. Language learners need to understand the language that they are hearing and using, and the topics discussed should be of interest to them. Meaningful learning teaches students the importance of cognitive skills that they will use throughout their life. Cognitive skills are what students use to evaluate, analyze, remember, and make comparisons. In the long run, meaningful learning is the most effective way for students to engage in learning. It is when the student studies the information and tries to understand and make sense of it. Instead of merely bring up the facts, the student can engage with the information and is capable of generating solutions to problems. In meaningful learning, the new information is analyzed, while rote learning occurs when the learner memorizes new information without relating it to prior knowledge. Rote learning has one important advantage over meaningful learning: it is useful to memorize information in a precise way. On the other hand, meaningful learning has three important advantages over rote learning. The knowledge acquired meaningfully is retained much longer or for a lifetime. The information is not memorized. It facilitates the acquisition of new knowledge which is related to previously acquired knowledge. Because the cognitive structure is clear, it facilitates the retention of new content. The information which was learned meaningfully can be applied in a wide variety of ways to solve new problems or contexts. Students can interchange knowledge in a transferable way. In meaningful learning theory, students are considered to be the center of the teaching-learning process, and the teachers are the facilitators. So, meaningful learning involves new knowledge that is related to what the learner already knows, and it can be easily retained and applied. The anticipation of reward is the most powerful factor in directing one's behavior. The principle behind Skinner's operant conditioning paradigm can be stated: human beings are universally driven to act, or behave by the anticipation of some sort of reward, tangible or intangible, short-term or long-term, that will ensue as a result of the behavior. The principle stresses the idea that learners have to be rewarded for their progress in learning. The role of the teacher is to make some anticipation as regards the kind of reward to be used in the classroom. The anticipation of rewards has shortcomings. These are: lead the learners to be dependent on short-term rewards, making students of having the habit of looking for reward, and blocking students' intrinsic system. To make learning meaningful, one has to know what can greatly motivate the learner to keep up the progress and improve through the learning process. This comes with rewarding the achievements that learners can get to in their struggle to learn. Intrinsic principle. The intrinsic motivation principle is: the most powerful rewards are those that are intrinsically motivated within the learner. Because the behavior stems from needs, wants, or desires within oneself, the behavior itself is self-rewarding. Therefore, no externally administered reward is necessary. Language learning is most successful when there is intrinsic or internal, rather than extrinsic or external motivation. When language learning stems from the learner's needs or desires, the learner is said to have intrinsic motivation. A learner who only has extrinsic motivation will often give up during the long haul of learning a language. Intrinsic learning motivation describes the quality of motivation during the process of learning and means doing an activity for learners' inherent satisfaction, rather than for some separable consequences. Intrinsically motivated students enjoy learning and want to learn more about the content. Teaching contents should be familiar and manageable, awakening the student's existing knowledge, relevant to learners' academic and career goals. Interest in learning is the intrinsic motivation of students, and it promotes students to explore a strong desire for knowledge. Students' learning interests can create active intention, which will lead to learning success. And the pleasure of success will further stimulate the new interest in learning, and enter into a virtuous circle track. At an appropriate time, a positive and stable learning interest is beneficial to the student's learning motivation. The principle of strategic investment. Successful mastery of the second language will be due, to a large extent, to a learner's own personal investment of time, effort, and attention to the second language, in the form of an individualized battery of strategies for comprehending and producing the language. Language learning time should be invested wisely in activities that result in real language acquisition. Clear learning goals, and an understanding of personal learning styles, can help the learner to use language learning time strategically. A learner's investment of time, effort, and attention to the second language help to comprehend the language. Learner has an expectation from this kind of investment, and a teacher is to put in place some recognition to keep learners motivated. Affective principles. In this principle, we look at feelings about self, communicating with others in a community of learners, and the ties between language and one's culture, worldview, and way of life. There are 4 affective principles: language ego, self-confidence, risk-taking, and language culture connection. Language ego. The language ego principle can be summarized in a well-recognized claim: as human beings learn to use a second language, they also develop a new mode of thinking, feeling, and acting, a second identity. The new language ego, intertwined with the second language, can easily create within the learner a sense of fragility, defensiveness, and a raising of inhibitions. The language ego principle might also be affectionately called the warm and fuzzy principle. All second language learners need to be treated with effective, tender, loving care. Learning a new language involves a second identity with a new model of thinking, in which this new identity can be fragile and defensive. Learning a language involves changes to one's self. This means that the ego is often threatened when acquiring a language. Students that study a second language feel fragile because of their native language ego. For this reason, teachers must be patient and display a supportive attitude to students. Self-confidence principle. Another way of phrasing this self-confidence principle is the "I can do it" principle, or the self-esteem principle. Self-esteem is the positive or negative feelings that we have about ourselves. It is determined both by our own achievements and accomplishments, and by how we think others are judging us. At the heart of all learning is a person's belief in his or her ability to accomplish the task. While self-confidence can be linked to the language ego principle, it goes a step further in emphasizing the importance of the learner's self-assessment, regardless of the degree of language ego involvement. Simply put, we are saying, learners' belief that they indeed are fully capable of accomplishing a task is at least partially a factor in their eventual success in attaining the task. Successful language learners are self-confident language learners. They believe that they can achieve their language learning goals. Risk-taking principle. In this principle, successful language learners, in the realistic appraisal of themselves, as vulnerable beings yet capable of accomplishing tasks, must be willing to become gamblers in the game of language, to attempt to produce and to interpret language that is a bit beyond their absolute certainty. This principle is the importance of getting learners to take calculated risks in attempting to use language, both productively and receptively. If learners recognize their ego fragility, and develop firm belief, then they are ready to take those necessary risks. They are ready to try out their newly acquired language, to use it for meaningful purposes, to ask questions, and to assert themselves. Successful language learners are willing to make mistakes, willing to take risks, and therefore they have more opportunities to learn through both successes and failures. Risk-taking is one of the most important features of a good language learner. They accept what they don't know and they focus on what they do know. Learners have to be able to gamble a bit, and to be willing to try out hunches about the language. A risk-taking student is typically a student who actively participates in a discussion in the classroom, and answers the questions without being waited to be called by the teacher. This type of student is usually not afraid of speaking in front of his/her classmates, and not afraid of making mistakes, and they are willing to take part in class discussions without any fear, and they also get involved in language learning activities quickly and easily. This involvement helps them to learn more, and be better and more successful. Furthermore, risk-taking typical students are willing to make a try to produce words or sentences, or guess, and not be discouraged by making mistakes, and being appeared foolish to progress. In this way, these students will improve their learning from the mistake they made. So, the key to the success in second language learning is, the students should be willing to make a try or guess, and not be discouraged by making mistakes. Language culture connection principle. Language and culture are intricately intertwined. When you successfully learn a language, you will also learn something about the culture of the speakers of the language. This principle focuses on the complex interconnection of language and culture. Whenever you teach a language, you also teach a complex system of cultural customs, values, and ways of thinking, feeling, and acting. This can be a source of valuable language input, and a powerful tool for adjustment in new cultures. Learning a language also involves learning about cultural values, and different ways of thinking. Successful language learners understand that using a new language may involve expressing ideas and feelings in very new and different ways. The relationship between language and culture is deeply rooted. Language is used to maintain and convey culture and cultural ties. Different ideas stem from differing language use within one's culture, and the whole intertwining of these relationships starts at one's birth. The understanding of a culture and its people can be enhanced by the knowledge of their language. Different languages will create different limitations, therefore people who share a culture, but speak different languages, will have different worldviews. From this, one can see that learning a new language involves learning a new culture. Teachers must educate their students on the cultural background of language usage. If one teaches language without teaching about the culture in which it operates, the students are learning empty or meaningless symbols, or they may attach the incorrect meaning to what is being taught. The students, when using the learned language, may use the language inappropriately, or within the wrong cultural context, thus defeating the purpose of learning a language. Linguistic principles. This principle centers on language itself and on how learners deal with these complex linguistic systems. There are three linguistic principles: native language effect, interlanguage, and communicative competence. Native language effect principle. The principle of the native language effect stresses the importance of that native system in the linguistic attempts of the second language learner. The native language of learners exerts a strong influence on the acquisition of the target language system. While that native system will exercise both facilitating and interfering effects on the production and comprehension of the new language, the interfering effects are likely to be the most salient. A learner's native language can both facilitate and interfere with learning the new language. Words that are similar in both languages will help in language learning, but features that are different may interfere with the language learning process. In native language effect, the original knowledge and skills of learners will have an impact on the new knowledge and skills during the learning process. The native language of learners will be a highly significant system on which learners will rely to predict the target language system. Interlanguage principle. The interlanguage principle tells us second language learners tend to go through a systematic or quasi-systematic developmental process as they progress to full competence in the target language. Successful interlanguage development is partially a result of utilizing feedback from others. All language learners go through a developmental process, during which time they use the language imperfectly. A learner's interlanguage should be seen as progress, not as a failure or a refusal to learn. Learners create this language when they attempt to communicate in the target language. Interlanguage is affected by the learner's native language, as they use their native language knowledge to understand and organize the second language, or to compensate for existing competency gaps. Teachers should allow learners to progress through such systematic stages of acquisition. Communicative competence principle. Communicative competence refers to a learner's ability to use language to communicate successfully. The ability to understand and use language effectively to communicate in authentic social and school environments. The array of studies on communicative competence provides what is perhaps the most important linguistic principle of learning and teaching. Given that communicative competence is the goal of a language classroom, instruction needs to point toward all its competence: organizational, pragmatic, strategic, and psychomotor. Communicative goals are best achieved by giving due attention to language use and not just usage, to fluency and not just accuracy, to authentic language and contexts, and to students' eventual need to apply classroom learning to previously unrehearsed contexts in the real world. If communicative competence is the final goal, language learning activities need to focus on the skills needed for effective communication in authentic contexts. These skills include both fluency and accuracy, as well as the ability to use language appropriately in real-world contexts. Given that communicative competence is the goal of a second language classroom, teachers should give attention to language use and not just usage, to fluency and not just accuracy. Give grammar some attention, but don't neglect the other important components. Make sure that the students have opportunities to gain some fluency in English without having to be constantly wary of little mistakes.